Well, hey, church. I was just doing some reading in preparation for a sermon series that we have coming up. And this is a sermon series on the parables of Jesus. So we're going to take a few weeks to look at some of the parables that Jesus told his followers and unpack them a little bit and try to wrestle with what they might teach us today. Now, the interesting thing about parables is that they usually didn't have one obvious interpretation or one obvious way to understand them. Usually there was a variety of ways that you could understand what they were trying to say. In fact, that was really the nature of parables. The nature of parables was such that they obscured an easy, clear-cut answer. So often what would happen was that the followers of Jesus would have a theological question. And as their rabbi, their teacher, they would go to Jesus and they would ask them the question. But instead of giving them a direct answer, he would tell them a parable or a story. And in doing that, instead of giving them that clear-cut answer, that would actually not give them an answer at all to their question. It would really create more questions. And then through that, it would lead to a deeper understanding. So it really forced them to drill more deeply and dig more deeply into who he was and what he was all about. So it was all about sort of disrupting their normal thought process to get them to go deeper. And that had to be really frustrating for his disciples, because they probably thought, Jesus, just give us a straight answer to the question. We just want a straight answer, that's all. But Jesus didn't like to do that. Jesus liked to avoid that. And that was hard for them because we as humans like straight answers, black and white answers. We like to ask a question and get a clear answer back to it that helps us to make sense of the situation and understand the world around us. We like certainty as humans, but the truth is that life doesn't always give us that. Oftentimes we are like the disciples of Jesus, and we go to God and we say, perhaps there was a tragedy in our life, and we say, why did this happen? Why? Or there was a situation that could have helped us in the past if it would have gone just a little bit differently. Maybe we could have avoided some pain or some really difficult things in our life. And we say, God, why didn't you just allow things to work out a little bit differently? Things could have gone so much more smoothly that way. Or God, why are you not answering my prayer? Or God, why don't you give me some more wisdom or direction for the future? Because I'm really stressed out. I'm really worried about the future and confused. Just give me an answer. But oftentimes we ask those questions and we come up empty. There are no such answers. And part of what we need to learn as Christians is that we're not always going to have the answers. We're not always going to understand the big picture. But God does. God's ways are higher than our ways. So we simply have to trust in God to know that his ways are higher than ours. Scripture says we walk not by sight, but by faith. And that's what we have to remember, that no matter how big our questions are and how much we really want answers to them, God is bigger than any question we have. And even when we doubt, when we're uncertain, when we don't know what's going to happen next, God walks beside us. And God does have the answers. God does understand the big picture and the purpose behind it all. So we simply have to sometimes give up our need for certainty, our need for control, and trust in him. That's what faith is all about. So I would encourage you to think about that. Encourage you to trust in that. And we'll talk to you soon.